Hey, what's happening everyone? Welcome back to another video, and today we're checking out and reviewing this DIY RGB kit for your Xbox One or PS4 controller. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So basically, eXtremeRate got in touch with me. They're like, do you want to review it? I was like, yeah, why not? And with that, here we are. So I got the box in hand. I did not do any research. I did not look at any videos. So I have no idea what's on the inside and what is actually required. So let's just get right into it and see what the user experience is like. Let's go. Alright, so it seems like we got some kind of adhesive template, which is pretty nice. Everything's going to be lined up right off the bat. Then we got the manual, which is going to be very handy. Some screws or extra screws, I'm not too sure which. A really cool looking 1-year warranty card. And of course, all the buttons and tools that are required for the setup. Alright, so let's take a look. First off, we got the analog sticks, and I gotta be honest, this one doesn't look very clean. Now, I'm not too sure why. I could just have a bad batch, maybe it's just my luck, especially when compared to an original stick. The other one, on the other hand, although not perfect, it's still much better than the second one here. Then we have the D-pad. It's got a nice matte finish. It's got all the transparent cutouts, so all these things will glow. The X and B buttons look clean. The same goes for the A and Y. And finally, the menu and the sharing buttons. So it seems like all the buttons here are actually pretty clean, and it's only the custom analogs that look wonky. Now, they are rubberized, and at this point, I should mention that this kit actually comes in 2 different variants, which might be included in this manual, so let's take a look. So it tells you how to take apart the controller. Very nice diagram, all in color, and it goes step by step on how to do pretty much everything. So after the kit is installed, you have a couple modes to actually choose from. So we have RGB, cyan, blue, pink, purple, gradient, and then fast blinking, so you can have it just flashing. We have the one that I have here, which is the striped, which basically the majority of the buttons actually have the original color, but with an accent. And the second one is the full transparent look, which all the buttons and analog sticks are going to be fully transparent, so some people may like that. So imagine this controller being black, but all the buttons and D-pads and everything is fully transparent, including the X, Y, A, B buttons. So anyways, back to the box, we have a prying tool, the special torque screw with the hole in the center that is required to open up Xbox One controllers, and finally, a pretty nice soft plastic tweezer tool, which is going to be pretty useful. So finally, enough talk, let's start taking it apart. Alright, so I finished putting it together, and it took me about an hour to finish. Now, if you're not experienced and you have never opened one of these things before, it might take you around 2 hours. That being said, I'm pretty pleased with the result, and I really like how it looks, especially with the green right here. The LEDs themselves are pretty bright, and overall the buttons do feel and function exactly the same as the original buttons, so there's no compromise there. That being said, there are of course a few things that you should know about. One of them of course is the analog sticks. Now I don't know if it's a quality control, if it's just my luck. They are pretty warped, however it doesn't affect the function or the feel of it. But the whole point of this RGB kit is to pimp out your controller, and receiving some wonky looking analog sticks kind of defeats the purpose. But after checking out some Amazon pictures and some videos, it seems like I might be the only one that has this issue. Worst case, you can contact them and they might send you a replacement. Now the other major thing that you should know about this thing, and it's kind of obvious, is that battery drain. Pimping out anything that is battery powered with LEDs will drain your battery, and that's to be expected, so keep that in mind. And the last thing that I would like to see change about this thing, maybe in a future revision, maybe in a future update, and that would be the fact that it doesn't actually save the last color used. So when you turn it off by holding down the button for 5 seconds, and turn it back on, it goes back to the first color, which is red, or more of an orangish, reddish color. You gotta go back and quickly switch between the colors every time you turn on the controller. It's kind of a hassle. It does add a few extra steps. Now, other than flare, this actually might be pretty useful, especially at night. If you want to look for your controller and your controller is lost, look at the LEDs if you turn them on at night. And one last thing I want to point out here is that the menu and the share buttons, the lights, although pretty bright, they really don't show all that well. So if you do get the one with the symbols, that is something you should expect. Otherwise, if you get something that's fully transparent, then the LEDs will show very well. Anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and show you guys what the colors look like, what kind of colors we have here, with the lights on and off. So here we go. Starts out with red, then green, my favorite color, blue, yellow, or should I say more like lime green, pink, purple, and then teal, which is not even listed in the actual paper. Then we have the typical RGB function where it cycles through all the colors, and that's going to be a pretty popular choice, and it goes through the colors pretty quickly. So, and finally we have one that pretty much nobody will use, which all it does is flashes between the colors and is kind of distracting. And now here it is once again at night, and this should give you a pretty good idea of what things look like. So green, very nice and vibrant. The blue also looks pretty nice, but it's just unfortunate that the menu and the share buttons are not very clear, and the X, Y, A, B buttons, although not perfect, for the most part they are pretty visible. Here's yellow, pink, purple, teal, and finally the RGB gradient. Alright, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up. So overall, for about 30 to 45 bucks, I have to say this is a pretty nice, cool looking kit. And the nicest thing about it is that it does not require any soldering or any modification to the actual controller. You can rip this off anytime you want and be back to normal. Is it worth the price point? I would say yeah, it's not terrible. It's a custom piece of modification, although pretty tricky to install. With enough time and focus, anyone can actually get through it. But as always, with anything that is DIY, your experience might vary, and that's just to be expected. So anyways, with all that being said guys, that is all for this video. If you have any questions, do let me know, and that's pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe for content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone.